I want to tell you why I feel love. Shady, me. Okay, it goes like this. Kasala don't bust you all I do. Yeah. The kingdom of darkness is scatter you. My king, he don't come out from the grave. Dirty folly, yakata since that day. The devil and his gang, he made open show them. Yeah, but for share all of them. Now when I got that, the demon want them all, but you know fit them all. Cause I got the dominion to prepare the demon, and you know fit them all.
Welcome to the Full of Grace Mother and Child Nation. My name is Fisherman Tutu Atalabi. I'm following up on this Senator Natasha's case. I'm sure by now we all know the background to this case. We've seen, we've heard, we've watched, we've read. And so the current status, we're just going to go dive right into it. The current status is that as of 27th of March 25, Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan remains suspended from the Senate. The recall process initiated by some constituents is ongoing, with INEC responsible for verifying the petition and determining the subsequent steps. The situation continues to evolve, reflecting broader tension within the Nigerian politics and raising important questions about gender dynamics and political accountability. Additionally, the Federal High Court in Abuja set aside its earlier order nullifying the Senate suspension of Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan, thereby upholding her 6 months suspension. The court ruled in favor of the Senate application, reversing its previous decision that had declared any action taken against her during the suit's pendency null and void. However, there are conflicting reports regarding the recall effort. Some sources indicate that the recall process is being orchestrated by political figures, including former Kogi State Governor Yahya Bello and Senate President Akpabio, with allegations of financial inducement and manipulation of the process. This report suggests that many constituents oppose the recall, expressing satisfaction with Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan's representation and alleging that the process is politically motivated. In response to the recall effort, the Federal High Court in Lokoja issued an interim injunction on March 20th, 25, preventing the Independent National Electoral Commission from receiving or acting on any petition containing fraudulent signatures aimed at initiating the recall process of Senator Natasha. The court's order also stops INEC from conducting any referendum based on such a petition. A number of these reference from Sahara Reporters and Guardian and the Witness Nigeria. Interesting developments, isn't it? Because you can see the desperation. There is a lot of desperation going on in the patriarchal society of Nigeria right now. And this goes right down to the street level, because we have seen a lot of reports, opinions on social media, especially coming from men. Majority of men are taking the side of, imagine, this Senator Akpabio. I feel like men are scared in Nigeria because the world is changing. Not just the world, to be honest, it's just what's right or wrong. However, we can acknowledge that the world is changing, and everybody, I acknowledge we all have our roles to play as men and women. However, it's high time to make it be clear that women are not subjects. I take the position that men are important, they are vital in the society. For a society to be sound and healthy, we need strong men. However, these are men that are confident, men that are leaders, men that understand what it means to really be a man and to be a leader. That it is not based on this power struggle between a man and a woman. You are concerned that you are always aware of the fact that I'm a man, and you are the one making the effort and for the other gender to give you the respect or give you the, acknowledge you as a man. It is ridiculous. It all comes from within. This has to be done within your own self. It feels like men, especially in the society of Nigeria, a lot of men that are living in this generation have been brought up by people from previous generation, and all now living in this current generation, desperate to hold on to false belief that they have been given from when they were young. It all starts from the foundation, I would say, of when they were young, the way they were brought up, the false belief, the false ideas that they have lived on, because they feel like men should not answer to anybody, a woman has to bow to you and things like that. But we are now living in a generation where it is obvious that it isn't like that. I think people are aware, their eyes are opened, and the light is shining on the truth. That even as it was before, a lot of us that have beliefs like Christians, we're taking from the Bible, that Jesus, for example, led by example, he was a leader. He gave himself up all the way to the cross. He was humble to the finish. And that is why his disciples went ahead to die for Jesus. They carried on his message, that so many of them were martyred because Jesus led by example. He didn't force it. He shouted from the rooftop that, none of that. He lived by actions and by example that it was obvious to see. So he didn't need to try. He didn't need to try for anybody to acknowledge him or to. This is the opposite. So is the case. A lot of the men living in this generation have been given false belief. Let's go back to the case of this Senator Natasha. We are now seeing that there is false recall going on, obviously. Seeing the action from the misogynist men that govern the Senate in Nigeria. Desperation, they've gone out, start to take advantage of poverty in Nigeria. A lot of videos are out there. I'm sure we've all seen all the false protests that is going on. And it's a shame. I think one of the sad thing in this case is that the women are the one doing the dirty job. And this is what led us to where we are. It is the women who brought up these people that we're talking about from where they were young, rubbing their head, training the girls, but not training their sons, giving the sons their false hope. I mean, it is shameful. This is really shameful that women can commit themselves to such atrocities, allow themselves to be used by Senate in Nigeria or the men in Nigeria, all this misogynist culture and society, that they can be driven by money to do a dirty work that is going to impact on their children, if not their own children, in the society. Is going to impact on their grandchildren, because they are thinking of their greed and they are thinking of now. And women can allow themselves to be used in such a dirty way. You see false women taking up banners and demanding for evidence. What sort of evidence do you want? People are asking for evidence. A lot of men, men on social media are asking for evidence. What evidence do you want in a sexual harassment case? Those asking for evidence in this case are demonstrating the magnitude of their ignorance and gullibility. It's not like the person being harassed is anticipating the harassment, and so they are already poised with some video or audio recording, to record the event. That is why in sexual harassment prosecution, evidence can include anything from a whole range of things to the complainant's account, witness statement, medical evidence, a whole range of things. Let's be clear in terms of Senator Natasha's sexual harassment case, that people are confusing the incident that happened in one time in Senator Akpabio's house, where they said he led them in the house and showed them around and held his hand and maybe made some remarks. This is the advance. Let's define that. It does the advance, a sexual advance towards Senator Natasha. The sexual harassment is what had transpired since then. That's the sexual harassment. And this is what Senator Natasha has alleged, that a lot of things have happened since then that made her believe that this man began to hold malice against her because she did not give in to his sexual advances, and he began to frustrate her work in the Senate House because it's part of this man believing he has the right to another man's wife, allegedly. He believes he has the right to another man's wife, and he cannot be told no. This is what a lot of men in how a lot of men in Nigeria operate. And I think they have been very much enabled by women in Nigeria who always bow to the demands of men because of money. And now it is now become an epidemic. It's become a disease in Nigeria. And this is the things that was going to affect our children, our girls, a lot of those girls in the university who are not able to, who don't have the same like privileges or know people in high places. They will live in the trauma of sexual harassment, sexual victimization always. And this is why this case is very important. And it's a shame that enough women are not speaking out. We've already seen a lot of women who have been bought by money. And then on the other side, women who could have said more about this, even if you don't support Senator Natasha directly, but giving your views about the importance of having this case being investigated impartially from women who have platforms, women who have influence, women who have voices. Unfortunately, not enough of those voices are coming out from Nigeria. We now move to the investigation that is happening. So we know that this petition again has been reviewed by the Senate recently, and we saw what broke out in this investigation, where we have Dr. Obi Ezekweli, I will not be pronouncing her name right, and the counsel for Senator Natasha, the lady lawyer woman, and another petitioner. They were sitting in front of the ethics committee, and it appeared that in the video that we've seen, what broke out between this Dr. Obi Ezekweli and another Senate man whose name is I don't know, boy or something like that. This is another example of misogynist people who are intoxicated with being a man just because you are a man. That is what broke out. And I know they want to twist this incident to their benefit. They want to twist what we saw. We know that the senator, the Dr. Obi had said something to this man, which apparently this man made. He is the principal witness. He's one of the principal witness for Senator, the Senate president. This man, before the day of this committee, usually gone to all the news network to try to paint the Senator Natasha as the villain, as the one who wants to come and who's the liar. Yeah, character assassination, basically. We have to give that man the narcissist of the year, to be honest. So he goes around to try to conduct a character assassination of Senator Natasha because of Senator Akpabio. And the way the man is always very aggressive. He's very passionate. You can see him, he's very passionate. I feel sorry for him because I feel like he has signed a contract which he feels he must carry out. It's as like his life depends on it, isn't it? The way you see this Unwa boy going round the news channel, character assassinating Senator Natasha. Then the incident in the Senate committee happens where he unleashes a lot of abuses on Dr. Obi Ezekwelu, even if let's assume that this woman was wrong, she shouldn't have just said shut up to him. Can you see his response? This is exactly what we're talking about. Men, misogynist men without control. This is the type of person that can beat up a woman, beat up his wife. Go and try and tell him shut up. We're not saying that it's right for a woman to, open their mouth and run abuses against a man. I am of the very strong belief that everybody is responsible for their action. If a woman abuses, she's responsible for that action. It doesn't determine the type of result or outcome. Give anybody the right to place their hand on a woman, or in this man's case, because the camera was rolling, he just uses his mouth and abuses the woman. But you can imagine, you can see his passion in the video. He was so angry. He was so passionately angry, you could tell. And you could tell that if that man was in a closed environment with a woman and nobody was watching and the person it's not just going to be him abusing her, he's just going to beat up the woman. And this is shows how this Senate operates. That man is the example of how these men are operating. The committee, it shows how they are operating. Nobody could have control of this man, including the chairman of the ethics committee. And it was funny because we saw that they wanted to sort of conduct some sort of investigation on the spot and get the other side, the Senator Natasha's side and counsel, to begin to answer. Whereas there are people, Senator Natasha had come there believing another process was supposed to happen, but this Senate committee wants to corner them into doing another thing. And it's crazy. Corruption at work, broad daylight corruption, and then they try to use those Senate rules and twist it to their advantage, twist it for their own use. It is a broken system. Of course, they are biased because from what the council said, and I said this in my previous video, the ethics committee is corrupt. Number one, we have the chairman of this ethics committee who has been disbarred. I wonder how he became the chairman of ethics of a Senate chamber in a country like Nigeria. It shows that the whole system is corrupt. It is bizarre. And the fact is they are doing it in broad daylight. They don't even care anymore. They don't care from the presidency down to locally. Nobody cares anymore. The Nigerian people are just watching. We're all just watching. And so this chairman, ethics committee, who uttered the word that the petition is dead on arrival on the day of this petition, where the Senator Natasha's counsel came to meet them, he is now trying to twist the thing and said the is dead on arrival is because he started quoting from the book of these Senate rules or whatever, and said the statement was referring to the fact that Senator Natasha had signed the petition. She's not supposed to sign a petition. Even if she's not supposed to sign a petition, you are a chairman of ethics committee. You are not supposed to be using those type of terminology to say something is dead on arrival. It shows that you are taking side. It shows that you are biased already. You have taken a side if you say that, because you are supposed to be impartial. If you are a chairman of an ethics committee, you are not supposed to be showing yourself as biased. You can already tell if somebody using that type of word, you are skewed, you are already partial, you are prejudiced. And the whole Senate and the Nigerian misogyny, they are prejudiced towards women. This Senator Natasha is just an example of the broader picture of how Nigeria looks as a nation. Prejudiced towards women because men are scared to lose control. And nobody is fighting with them. Nobody is tossing with them. But this is in their mind because of their narcissistic upbringing. So they are very desperate because they feel like they are losing something is about to drop from their hand, and so they must make sure they kill it. But we will be coming back to follow up on this case. But I'm going to round up because everything that we're seeing is just a laughing stock. And I'm going to summarize from this woman will be vindicated. And all these powers and forces from the chauvinist men that we are seeing around who want to control and shape the case to go in their own direction and corrupt the case and take justice away from that, they will not get justice. So in the book of Esther, in the Bible, so this is a study Bible, and it's a summary of what the book of Esther is about. And it says that the arrogant of this world are not nearly as powerful as they think they are, and that when they oppose God's people, they only succeed in bringing about their own destruction. God laughs at such people. Better again summarized in the book of Psalm again. Why do the nation rage and the people plot in vain? The kings of this earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsels together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us burst their bonds apart and cast away their cords from us. He who sits in the heaven laughs, and and the Lord hold them in derision. That's it. So, where there is corruption, as the way we are seeing in this Senate House from the misogynist men that rule the Senate House, there will always be confusion. The whole case reminds me of, I think you may have, a lot of people may have seen that film, Toluwanile, where I think maybe it's in Baba One Day or something. The man had gone into contract. He had gone into contract with the world of the dead because of money. He wanted to buy a land. You people know how when it was time for him to pay back, how the man was desperate not to die. And so this case reminds me of that Oluwanile, the way all these Senate people are so desperate, whipping up everything possible, going to social media, recall media, news, ethics committee, and the misogynist men. There is going to continue to be confusion, because when people are working in that manner where they are not, they will always leave their tracks open for destruction. It is within themselves that they will be confusing themselves. There will be confusion and things like that. They will be the one to finish themselves. There will be vindication. There must be vindication for the sake of the coming generation, our young girls and our young women. And I hope that the young men that are coming up will begin to take a different path, and not the misogynist, chauvinist, older men that we are seeing that are ruling the nation today, and that they will begin to take up leadership, be more confident, more self-adequate, and that it is not a competition between men and women. Anyway, thank you for staying with me once again on the Full of Grace Mother and Child Nation. We will be following again on this case. Interesting developments. I am Fisherman Tutu Atalabi. Thank you for watching, and see you again soon. Bye.
I want to share a little story we have. I want to tell you our story. Shady, hear me. Okay, it goes like this. Kasala don't bust you all I do. Yeah. The kingdom of darkness is scatter you. My king, you don't come out from